love it when I can look at sounds.
I love it when I can taste sounds, personally.
I love
delicious.
it. I love eating a nice, tall bowl of Ariana Grande.
Yeah, sound tastes delicious. Especially love the wavy kind. Don't really like it flat. I guess they're like chips. I always like them wavy more.
My favorite type of sound tastes like coffee.
Yeah, maybe that'll keep me up.
Coffee.
Probably clipping though.
I love
if it's the coffee.
Yeah, I love the sound of DJ Black Coffee. That's really good in the morning. Another thing, gotta say, Vanilla Fudge, Cream, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Those sounds taste pretty good. 9 Inch Nails, that tastes like shit. I don't like it.
That's true.
Yeah, it kind of gives me metal poisoning.
Yeah, you might have to get a tetanus shot after that.
Dang.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna have to after. I think we all kind of got metal poisoning from this episode.
Yeah.
I'm literally made of metal, so it's fine.
Yeah, true. So you just became an alloy.
Yes, I am Alloy from the hit game Far Cry 4.
Well, I consider myself an alloy to the metal community, of which I am not a metalhead, but I try to be a good alloy to them.
Yeah.
I
am the LGBTQM community.
Exactly. Yeah.
I am a metalhead, just a different kind of metalhead.
I was raised by thrash metal fans, AC/DC Metallica types, but I was kind of always gravitated more toward punk, so I thought this episode was a bit of a good excursion for me.
Yeah, this was definitely fun for me too. I got to experience the more avant-garde side of metal, because it's not usually what I go for when it comes to metal.
There's definitely a really good spread among the 3 albums here too. None of them are all that similar to each other.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Anyway, welcome everyone to the Foxx and Mage podcast. My name is Mageclick.
My name is Foxx Navarro.
My name is Crow, but I'm also a fox, so there's 2 foxes here now.
Exactly. Don't let the name fool you. The Fox levels are being saturated on this podcast, as well they should be.
Yes. I'm outnumbered. To send help.
You have 2 foxes.
Yes, and I only have 2 hands to pet them with.
Tragic.
Damn.
Yes.
How sadness.
Yeah. Anyway, today we have our first special guest. We have Crow of Cacophony.
That's me.
And they actually gave us the theme for today.
Well, I gave them an album, and they retrofitted the theme around it, but it's a theme that's very easy for me, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah. Very hard for me.
Yeah. This was kind of, I'll say, intermediate difficulty.
So we've got easy mode, hard mode, and
normal mode.
Normal mode, yeah.
Yeah, as it should be.
The full range of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So,
and then as soon as you finish listening to all 3 albums, then we unlock the secret extra hard difficulty mode.
Oh, I didn't get prepped on that one.
Lulu. Yeah. I guess that would be like the nightmare mode, when you 100% on hard and it gives you the extra challenge. Yeah.
I could probably think of something even more out there than Lulu if you gave me 5 minutes, but we're not doing that. So
that's definitely the most. That's as far as I go with avant-garde metal. Yeah.
Honestly, the album I picked is about as far as I go with avant-garde metal. So maybe even too far for me.
I see. So, speaking of, we should probably say what the albums are that we gave to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Crow, since you're our special guest, you wanna start off by telling us the album you gave to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I watched their first podcast, and my immediate thought was, oh, I need to inflict this album on these two. I don't know if they'll like it, but it will be very interesting. Do you want me to explain the album, or do you just want to get to that later when we're actually talking about it? Because there's lore, but the lore takes a while to go through, and I think it's not worth getting to yet.
Yeah, you can explain it later. We're just basically saying what the albums are right now.
Sure. So I picked Cleric's Retrocausal, which you've never heard of, and they've never heard of. So it's fun.
Right, I have not.
That's totally true. And I picked No Dawn for Men by Feminazgul.
Which is a very funny band name, and I approve of it.
Yes, we do love our trans femme black metal.
Hell yeah.
Lord of the Rings nerds everywhere.
Yes.
I've never actually listened to Nazgul. I've heard of them vaguely, but I think it's like a Lord of the Rings term, so I probably got it from there.
Oh yeah,
a lot of black metal bands do that.
Yeah.
Black metal bands love Lord of the Rings.
Metal bands in general, I guess, like were kind of the
really
first,
that's true.
Just
yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, and the album I gave was Avenged Sevenfold's release from last year, Life Is But a Dream.
2 years ago now, actually.
Oh, you're right. It was a
time flies when you're having an experience. I wouldn't say it was fun, but
it truly does. It's certainly one unforgettable. At least the fans seem to think so.
Yeah,
just met with a collective head scratch.
Most of what I knew about that album was just everyone dunking on it. I know. I think Crash Thompson had it as their worst album of that year, if I want to say correctly.
I think so. Yeah, he did. But it was one of those albums that he said he didn't like it, but he respected its existence, and that felt like what a lot of like the YouTube critic type people were saying about it.
Interesting.
I'm not gonna lie.
But the fans were like actually like mixed. Like a lot of people liked it, some hated it.
This is the first time I ever heard about this album.
That makes sense.
Nice.
I completely believe that coming from you.
Yeah.
The kind of music you listen to would scare the average Avenged Sevenfold fan. So.
Yeah. Well. Funny you say that. We'll get into that.
Interesting.
Yeah. The first we gotta get into what is definitely the least avant-garde album of this entire set, which was the one I gave.
Right.
Like it would still scare the average Avenged Sevenfold listener.
It would scare kind of the average black metal. I mean, okay, I'm not a metalhead, but it's been my impression that black metal fans in particular are kind of crybaby purist types, or at least that's the stereotype that.
That's definitely true. That's kind of true of metal in general, because metal is really masculine overall.
Yeah,
it just comes with the territory.
Yeah. From what I can tell, it's like if it's not death metal, it's probably just a pure sausage fest of chuds.
I mean,
like that's a
that's not necessarily true. Like, the thing about black metal in particular is that most of the really prominent artists who started it out were Nazis. Like, Burzum freaking killed a guy and is also a fascist, so...
Yeah.
Wonderful person to have as your, like, founding father.
Wait, did Burzum kill...
Yeah.
Did the Burzum guy kill a guy? I thought that was, like, his bandmate, Euronymous.
Yeah, he killed Euronymous.
Oh, I thought Dead killed Euronymous, I'm sorry.
No, Dead killed himself.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I hate that I know these names.
Welcome to Black Metal Lore, everyone. There's murder involved.
Yeah, that's kind of like my morbid my morbid interest is that whole scene.
Right.
And I totally get it. Yeah.
In like the last decade and a half ish, there has been like the polar opposite of Nazi black metal, which is radical anarchist black metal, which this band is very much in that scene. There's a lot of other bands in that scene that are not immediately coming to name But like, I think Death Heaven's technically under that label to some extent.
I think Panopticon is like one of the big ones.
Right. And
Like
I know
one of the first I got into.
one of my favorite metal labels, I Void Hanger, is like explicitly all like leftist or left leaning artists.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah,
But-
Feminazgul. So my first thought again was like just Lord of the Rings references, nerds, and then No Dawn for Men, another Lord of the Ring reference.
I did not know that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a quote from it's some kind of inscription on or near Mordor. It's been a minute since I watched those movies, so
I didn't know
Basically-
it was a Lord of the Rings reference either.
Basically, the point is that this is a very nerdy band.
Yeah, given that the front woman is literally an author, like this is a
That
side
makes
project.
sense. That makes sense.
Like she's a fantasy author, I believe.
oh, very nice.
Given the writing on this album, I would absolutely believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, the writing, the lyrics are a bit, and I guess I don't know if maybe this is because I don't listen to a lot of growl vocals type metal, but I did have an issue kind of like making out the words that the singer was singing, so I had to look this up with
that's-
Genius.
As
I know,
someone who's listened to like bands with these kind of vocals forever, I have no clue what they're saying most of the time. That's just how it is.
okay, good, because
Yeah,
I did-
it's not a me thing.
I did
We'll
look
get
up the
into
lyrics.
that.
I did look up the lyrics for this album when I was listening my second time, but like my general impression of the lyrics is that they're pretty sparse and they're mostly like mystical and natural in nature. Like for how pointed the title and band name is, there's not really much of that in the lyrics themselves.
I've noticed
But-
that. Yeah.
That's not really a bad thing. Like it's evocative. They're evocative lyrics. They're trying to paint like pictures of nature and all that jazz. But it's not really a lot of meat to dig into there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the vibe that I got. A lot of the lyrics are it kind of scans more as poetry than
Basically,
as
yeah.
prose. And again, that's not a bad thing, and that's clearly the vibe that was being sought at, especially with all the the kind of folky type instruments and the
Yeah.
nature sounds, and it does like evoke a very old world kind of European fantasy type atmosphere.
Absolutely. Like
Oh,
it's atmospheric black metal, but it's also kind of folk metal. A few of the tracks were like some of the tracks didn't really have as much of that folk instrumentation, but some of them like I want to say track 3, "The Rod in the Field is Holy." That one had like full in on the folk metal.
Yeah, that one had some really strong folk things, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I like the accordion on the first track. Honestly, "Rod in the Field is Holy" is probably my favorite song on the whole thing.
Yeah, probably up there for me too. I like the entire run of tracks 3 to 5, honestly. Probably my favorite part of the album.
It's good, yeah. Oh yeah, "Bury the Antlers with the Stag." I thought it was pretty good. I thought the drums on it felt a little dance punk ish.
That's actually something I wrote down just on the album in general, is that for a black metal album, the drumming on this album is really unconventional. But I thought that was a great fit. Like it's really noticeable and it's really cool.
I would never have known that, and I've heard quite a bit of black metal.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of black metal, it's very like those double kicks going on, just kind of like
Lots of double kicks, lots of blast beats. Basically, is the genre standards.
Like I know the blast beats. I guess I just never pay attention to like the tonality, because basically whenever I hear drums, my mind just goes burr.
Fair.
Drums do be making the mind go burr, though. But no, I like that the drums had they were allowed to have more personality than I usually kind of associate with the genre.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's definitely the thing that stood out the most about the album to me.
One of the things that stood most about the album to me is that it's so this like, and I don't know if this is supposed to be like a character, a protagonist, or if she's just kind of singing from her own point of view. But the anger on this album is extremely palpable, and I thought it was, and I thought that made some of the calmer sections more interesting because it kind of takes the mode of the burning crater aftermath of an explosive angry outburst, and the kind of relative calm that feels after a meltdown. I don't know, like as somebody who, like I'm autistic, and that's not an excuse at the end of the day, but I've been in that position where just something like really gets me incensed, and then I just have to calm down a bit, and I felt like this project did a good. I don't know, like I really liked that was pretty visceral and that clicked with me, especially at "Forgive Her, I Am Not Yours," which is kind of the penultimate track of the main album.
Right. I was actually going to bring that up. Like, the last two tracks are bonus tracks, basically, is my understanding.
Yeah.
They're like re-recordings from their original EP, and the album was dropped earlier than it was supposed to be because of COVID. So I think they just tacked these two songs on there as like little bonus. Otherwise, the album would be like 35 minutes long, which is fine, but it does make those last two tracks feel a bit weird. Like, they're good tracks, but they didn't have as much personality as everything that came before it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember writing that, and whenever I reviewed this, I reviewed it on Rate Your Music. I basically said that these two songs kind of blended together.
Right, because it's like, Look Not to Erebor really feels like that ambient outro track that you see on a lot of albums, but then the album keeps going with these two tracks, which I thought was a little weird, but it makes a little more sense when you consider them as like bonus tracks.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I guess like 35 minutes is a bit short for black metal if you're not making war metal.
I mean, I have metal albums in like the 30 to 35 minute range, but I do like my black metal albums that trend a bit longer.
Yeah, that's fine.
They don't all have to be Midnight Odyssey making 2 hour albums every single time, but 50, 60 minutes, give me that much, I'm happy.
Yeah, though I guess I've only heard one war metal album, but that seems like the kind of a subgenre that benefits from being short.
Fair. I'm honestly not that familiar with war metal because it does not really tickle my fancy.
The one I know is Antichrist Siege Machine, but like they didn't fit for this genre, so I didn't go for that.
Is Gwar war metal or are they something else?
War metal is a subgenre of black metal where it's kind of punkish.
Interesting. Okay. So my quick thought on Look Not to Erebor is that the first time I listened to this album, I didn't realize that the last two were bonus tracks. So I thought Look Not to Erebor, I listened to it as more as an interlude, but I think as a finale it works a lot better.
Yeah.
And then I think, those last two tracks kind of, I mean, I hear the lyrics to the Throat. To the Throat, my knife to the throat.
There were more lyrics than that, but I don't think they were all on Genius. Because I couldn't find lyrics for the last song either.
Yeah, neither could I, and that was frustrating.
Yeah.
But I kind of like, I thought In the Shadow of Dead Gods was a little better than To the Throat, but To the Throat I thought maybe overstayed its welcome a little.
Yeah, like, that one had like a 2-minute intro and a 2-minute outro. So it was like bookended by these calmer moments, and the meat of the song was only like 6 or 7 minutes long, which is not nothing, but it made it feel a bit unbalanced.
Yeah, and that can be a lot of time to wait for a song to both stop and start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like not doing anything too interesting, like if it was played more into like the folky element of like accordions and bird sounds and stuff, that would have been, that I like when the intros and outros were that and they dragged on for a little bit. I thought that was pretty good because I thought those were very pleasant sounds, and I thought they were incorporated into the metal thing pretty tastefully.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. It's just it's like at its worst, maybe it meanders a little bit, but like overall, it's actually a pretty short album in the grand scheme of black metal. So it's like it's not really that big of a deal.
I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy it because honestly, of the 3 albums here, this is probably my favorite to listen to.
Interesting.
Like, the way this album sounds is just right up my alley. Like, the guitars are mixed front and center, and the texture is fantastic, but you still can hear everything else too. It's not like I've heard some black metal albums that are really unbalanced in favor of the drums. I've heard some black metal albums that have the drums and vocals way too low. This was like just right, and the symphonic touches, the folk touches around the edge, really fill out the atmosphere. So it sounds great. It's not the
This was
most
produced
unique I've
incredibly.
heard. It was produced incredibly, yeah, absolutely. It's like not the most unique, but it's just like a really good example of what it is, and it's got just enough flavor to it, especially thanks to the drumming, that it does stand out.
Yeah, very much. It's like it's very lush, which is not
Very
something I
lush.
can say about a lot of black metal that I've heard.
Honestly, the black metal that's like really lush and beautiful tends to be my favorite, but I also like it to have some edge to it. Like the stuff that goes full on like really pretty black gazy stuff, that's pleasant, but it doesn't really have the edge I need to like really hook me into it. It's whereas this does have that.
I guess that's fair. I guess I almost want to say that about Death Heaven, but then again, my favorite aspect of Death Heaven is the post rock stuff, even though the black metal
True.
stuff is good too.
I
get
like Death Heaven, but I've kind of grown past them.
Yeah, that's fair. They were my first taste of black metal. I was absolutely not ready for them when I first listened to them, and it was pretty much entirely because of
Interesting.
the vocals.
They were definitely one of the first ones I heard too. They're really good as a gateway, but they're not that interesting. Like I've heard
Yeah.
their new album this year. It's good, but I just feel so on the outside seeing everyone freak out about it as if I haven't heard it done better elsewhere. Whatever. This is all off topic.
Yeah, I mean,
I-
honestly, because I also listened to Lonely People with Power, and because it's like the #1 album of the year on ROM,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay,
Really?
yeah, they people are going nuts for it. So yeah, I was like, all right, I'll check it out, see what's up, and yeah, it was good. There were songs of it that I really really liked, but I think overall it's yeah, I can't say it differentiated itself like too much from the rest of black metal, or at least the black metal that I know of.
Yeah, I think the thing is that a lot of people listening to that album don't know that much black metal. The same thing happened when Sunbather came around. Like, it's put in front of a bunch of hipsters who are usually listening to, their punk and rock bands, or their hip hop band artists, not bands. I mean, they're hip hop bands, but whatever. And then you shove this vaguely shoegazy black metal album in front of them, and they just go freak out. This is happening like the second time with Death Heaven right now, is what it feels like.
Yeah, I get that. It does seem like people are. I don't want to say easily impressed, but it feels like they're doing something where the recognition maybe outweighs the effort, at least compared to other shoegaze. Because yeah, I've heard like plenty of like black gaze bands. There are a lot of those out there.
Yeah.
I was not there when this happened the first time because I was like 12. But yeah, I guess I didn't know this was
Fair.
going on a second time.
Oh yeah.
It basically is, yeah.
Yeah, I actually haven't heard a second of it either, so I don't know anything about it. But like, I have heard some. But like, I've heard some pretty some pretty abrasive black metal, and I have my doubts that Death Heaven is going to wow me with their black metal side.
Yeah, the new one is
Probably.
like it's pretty by the numbers black metal. I think
Yeah.
it's probably the least shoegazy stuff that they've done, at least that I've heard. I haven't heard Corrupt Human Love yet.
I see. I only know Death Heaven and that song "Canary Yellow," which is honestly one of their most beautiful songs, and leans heavy into post rock. So yeah, that kind of just cements what I said earlier about them.
Fair. Have you checked out Alce? Because you'd probably like them a lot.
I think I heard one of their songs, but like I think I should. I think I may check them out. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I guess overall, I'd also say that with regard to No Dawn for Men, I thought it. Yeah, I kind of agree with pretty much everything that Crow said. I thought it was a fine example of what it is. I thought it incorporated the kind of folky nature elements very well. The production was really good. And, I think at, the length that it is, I think it's a pretty concise listen that nonetheless I still got a lot out of it, at least reading the lyrics side by side and kind of feeling the emotions of this singer slash character.
Yeah, it's really good. I don't really have much criticism for this album other than that it's a little short if you take out the bonus tracks, which whatever. Yeah. That means I can listen to it more times, whatever.
Yeah, and with the COVID thing, I'm sure they would have probably put those bonus tracks a little more time in the oven if they could, but I don't blame them for a second for doing what they did.
Right. And I just had a few small little notes I wanted to cram in here. Circling back to The Rot and the Field is Holy, I remember thinking that like the melody of those folky parts, especially when they're isolated towards the end, reminded me a lot of Godspeed You Black Emperor's Sleep.
So I'm not the only one. Thank you.
Oh, okay. That makes sense now that you say it. Yeah, I totally hear it.
Which that's a good song to remind people of. That song.
Yeah. Very formative for me in my music journey. So that probably explains why I like that one a lot.
Fair. I mean, I do agree that it is probably the best song on the album. Though I do really like Forgiver, I Am Not Yours, which is like, you could call it ambient. I would call it more like drumless black metal, which honestly, the guitar texture of black metal is why I come to the genre. So that kind of stuff really does it for me too.
That's fair, but it is very fuzzy.
It is very fuzzy, like a fox.
Fuzz is good. Yeah, my favorite tracks were The Rot in the Field is Holy and Bury the Antlers of the Stag.
Oh yeah, there's like
Bury the Antlers of the Stag is like probably the most diverse track here. Like that had like 3 or 4 different moods it went through, which was really cool.
Yeah, it's
I thought the piano at the end was a bit clumsy, but because it doesn't really build to anything and it kind of feels a bit stapled on. But other than that, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Apparently, Margaret Killjoy has a few other metal acts, like where she does different kinds of metal. Like I remember she has one. She has a group called Vulgarite, who also apparently released now in 2020. And if I remember correctly, that's her doing doom metal. And doom metal is my favorite kind of metal, so I need to listen to it.
It's metal about the video game Doom.
Slayer. That's him.
About
Doom.
It's so fun to make custom maps for me and my friends. I love making custom maps for me and my friends. Friends.
Yes, we.
I don't know.
And I guess the other group chat was a Nomadic War Machine, which sounds incredibly badass.
That is a killer name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dang. Yeah,
Possibly
that's ominous.
literally.
I would hate to be in the path of that war machine on its travels.
Same. Yeah, I will check out more of her stuff, and maybe I'll read some of her books. I mean, I ADHD is a bitch, so reading for me is hard, but I need to read.
I get you there.
Yeah. A lot.
All right, should we move on to the next project, or we have any final thoughts?
I've pretty much emptied my tank on this one, so.
Same here.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is Chuds suck.
True.
They do.
All right, that's all I have to say about Feminazgul.
All right.
Nice.
And now, we're at the big one in terms of it's the longest.
Right.
Oh, yes. Retrocausal by Cleric, which I wrote as Retrocasual in my notes until, Crow, you said it was Retrocausal, and I was like,
Wait,
oops.
you mean it's not retro casual?
No, it's retro. I think Retrocausal. My freaking dyslexia. It screws me so many times.
I don't even have dyslexia. I just thought it was retro casual.
Maybe I'm the wrong one, but I thought it was Retrocausal.
I think
have
it.
it.
Wait, hang on. Retrocausal. Yeah, although websites and stuff say Retrocausal.
I would hope I have it right, considering I have the album.
Interesting.
You own it.
I do own it.
Nice.
I don't think you can buy a physical copy of it anywhere anymore, so...
Oh, thanks. You got in good.
Yeah.
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 So- I want to get into, like... What is the word I'm looking for? The prestige of this album. Because it seems like it kind of spawned from the void, and I thought that at first when I first heard it. But you look into the history of this album, and it goes deep. So... where do I start?
Interesting.
I guess I start at the start. Like, so... Cleric has kind of been co-opted as, like, John Zorn's pet metal band over the years. Like, so John Zorn is just a freaky jazz musician who's been working since, like, the late 70s, early 80s. He basically does all sorts of stuff. He does just pure jazz stuff. He does a lot of klezmer. He's been doing metal since, like, the late 80s, 90s. Even to this day, like, he's still releasing metal albums. He's like 70 or something now, and he's still making metal, which is awesome. But-
John Zorn, handshake emoji, Christopher Lee.
Yeah, but his most famous and well-known album is Naked City, which is like a jazzy grindcore album almost that he put out in 1990 that I couldn't find, like, references saying this directly, but everything around it suggests that this album in particular was the inspiration for Mr. Bungle. Considering that John Zorn produced their first album, Zorn's worked with Mike Patton plenty of times over the years. And it's... Naked City itself is basically just, like, the first jazz metal album as far as I can tell. So... It's... Interesting. But then... So... That's... part of the story. John Zorn worked with Cleric a lot. He's got, like, I had it written down, 6 releases between their first and second albums. So Cleric released their first album in 2010. They released Retrocausal in 2017. And in the time between that, they put out 6 albums with Zorn. And if you listen to their first album and then their second album, you can really tell that he had some influence on them. Because it's way Zornier than their first album, which is still really weird and bizarre, but it's a lot louder. Which, if you've heard Retrocausal, is also a very loud album, so that's saying something.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And I also want to get into the fact that the producer of that first album was Colin Marston, who's the mastermind behind black metal band Krauss, amongst a bunch of other projects I don't have time to list. He's produced for Gorguts, Imperial Triumphant, Liturgy, a bunch of bands. Basically, he's also a wizard of the metal scene. And I suspect that Marston introduced Zorn to the band, but I don't have proof for that as well. But Marston also produced Retrocausal. Krauss guitarist Mick Barr guests on one of the tracks, and Zorn is on the final track as well. And the label owner is ex-Mr. Bungle, so... The label owner that put out the album is ex-Mr. Bungle, so it's like... This is just like a conglomeration of, like, every freaky metal person from, like, the past 20 years coming together to make an album of all time.
Yeah, when you put it that way, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like
This album sounds like you put 20 metal guys in a car together and forced them to cooperate with each other.
It sounds like 20 metal bands playing all at once.
Yeah.
that's kind of true.
Like I'd heard that name before, John Zorn. I'd heard that name floating around. I just never listened to anything from him until now.
I haven't listened
same.
to that much from him. I've heard Naked City. I've heard some of those Simulacrum albums. I've tried checking out his other stuff, but it's not for me.
Yeah, maybe he's been on some things that I don't know off the top of my head that I've actually heard, though. Who knows?
It's possible.
Yeah. I can't really say this was for me, though, personally.
Understandable. It is a lot. I'm honestly not sure if it's for me either. I just think it's really fascinating.
I might like this the most of the 3 albums that we got. If I'm being, I just kind of, well, I'll be real. The first track reminded me a lot of Midori, and their kind of mathcore art punk thing. I guess one thing I noticed is that this is a hugely mathcore, or this album has a lot of mathcore paint over it.
Definitely.
And I thought the Midori stuff with the violins and the jazzy stuff and the upright bass sounds, I thought some of those were very interesting, and I liked seeing that, at least on the first track, the Treme.
Yeah, the Treme was definitely kind of jazzy. Was definitely jazzy, but and I especially like when it just goes into the more angular riffs. But this kind of does just feel like a collection of riffs. I felt, and then with a nice doomy riff about 6 minutes in.
Right.
Oh, I love that 6-minute breakdown section. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah. It's my kind of biggest criticism of this album as a whole personally is that the first track does too much and is too good that it kind of overshadows the rest of the album. Because basically everything the rest of the album is going to do happens somewhere in that first track.
Yeah, that's true.
It's got the jazzy breakdowns. It's got that doomy ambient bit you pointed out. It's got the angular riffing. It's got the really crushing riffs. Every single piece of the album is kind of on this one track. And then the rest of the album after is every track trying to nail into one of those sounds, which makes them all a little less interesting.
That's that's a good way of putting it, because we don't really get any surprises on the album after the first thing. It is just kind of what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And granted, I still liked it, but it is a bit
it's indulgent.
It's indulgent, definitely, and it doesn't surprise you, which for an album this long, it does kind of drag on a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I thought Resumption had that problem really bad. I thought that was something that it really didn't need to be. By minute 9, it was predictable, which I never thought I would say that about an album like this, but Resumption was the most predictable song I'd ever
that's funny.
heard on Avant-Garde metal.
Resumption is the one song from this album that I have starred.
Interesting.
That was on the second listen though.
Interesting.
I had Soroburo starred on the first listen, and then it shrunk on me in the second one.
Interesting. Soroburo is interesting because every time I look at this album's track list, I always forget it's there for some reason. I looked at the track list and I'm I recognize Low, Lunger, Triskadecaphobe, but then Soroburo is right there what is that track? And that's it's the one that's a 4-minute ambient breakdown.
Yeah.
Which I understand why Mageclick would like that.
Yeah, the Resumption was my favorite because it's the doomiest song on the album.
Yeah, it's got that louder, quieter push-pull dynamic to it, with mostly just riffing the entire way through, though.
Yeah, I think I actually like the riffs here, though.
Fair.
I like being... I guess this is what I would say about the album as a whole. This is a wall... It's a very turbulent wall of noise that I'm safely observing in the safety of my own home from a window.
Fair. It is... a lot of riffs. There are a lot of riffs across this album, and not all of them stand out.
I like when music threatens me, and this didn't really
Understandable.
threaten me. Like this, I'm basically just saying like, neat. Yep. You do your thing, boo.
I definitely agree that the album is just, on the whole, too long. Both the individual tracks and just the entire thing. It's like 78 minutes long, and there's maybe like 45 minutes of content there.
Yeah, it's like... I definitely did not need 78 minutes of this.
Yeah. Like, that was my original review of it at the time. Like, this is a cool album, but my god, it's way too long. And I still feel that way.
I think I'm just mean towards specifically metal wankery, because I'm a Swans fan. I can do like rock wankery fine, but for some reason metal wankery is just too much for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm, because I like Boris a lot. Like
Boris
there are a
is
lot
so
of
cool.
Yeah, there are a lot of like at least what's that one song on Boris's Pink? Just something myself. I forget, but it's like 18 minutes, and it's just very long and droning. But I really like that one a lot because it like mixes it up with these repetitive patterns, and it is so brooding and atmospheric and just crushing that it does demand your attention and it demands your focus.
Yeah,
and
right. There's like a hypnotic quality to some metal like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
it would have been nice if this was a little more willing to like give itself into hypnosis. It feels like it kind of changes things up, maybe a little too often. Like sometimes it does have like a good idea, and you could like center on that for a little bit, but instead you're paying attention to like 4 or 5 like more meh ideas.
Yeah, it's like
I
would struggle to call it progressive because these songs don't really progress so much as they just move on to the next idea.
That's fair.
Yeah, I thought
Like,
that
the
was
way
a real problem with what was that one? Oh no, I'm sorry. Different album. You go.
Sure. Like, the way I see it, this album is trying to capture the improvisational nature of jazz, but it is also like very rigidly structured. Like, you can tell that there's parts like you couldn't spur of the moment make this up, but they're trying to make it sound like that. And like, there's some parts where it works and some parts where like it just gets lost in the wink.
So what you're saying is this is the metal equivalent of Trout Mask Replica.
Ooh.
I can't say from personal
Metal
experience if
Replica.
that's true.
Oh, the Trout Mask Replica is basically designed to be to sound like it's just a bunch of hippies off their rocker that are just making this most chaotic music possible, but it's all just intensely composed. Every single decision is extremely deliberate.
I definitely feel that's probably true of this album to some extent. Like, there's definitely like solos or the like that are improvisational, especially Grey Lodge with Zorn's saxophone. He definitely just made all that up on the spot, and you can tell.
Like this. Oh yeah, Grey Lodge. Speaking of that, that's actually like I can point out the specific Trout Mask Replica song that's taken influence from, and that's Ant-Man B, where it sounds like it's in that song he's just blowing into 2 saxophones at the same time. I'm convinced that's happening here too.
I mean,
Maybe.
Probably. I think it's interesting that they did like, and I will say, even though they did kind of show all their cards on the table for the first track, even though Grey Lodge wasn't my favorite on the album, I do admire how it still managed to be the most intense and the most over the top, and noticeably
Absolutely.
so. I didn't think they could like. I do think they did kind of top themselves from the Treme with Grey Lodge. Even if I liked the Treme a little bit more.
I did not
That's
like
fair.
I did not like the Grey Lodge at all.
See, when I first listened to the album, I didn't like the Grey Lodge, but coming back to it now, I have no clue why. It's honestly one of my favorites now, because like it is a glorious mess.
Like that is the
But it is a lot.
that is the exact kind of screaming that I don't like.
Fair.
It's like, but like,
I'm the resident lightning bolt fan, so I think I have a pretty high tolerance for just noisy, riffs and just like dense layers packed on each other.
I like Lightning Bolt too. It's like, yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like, it's just this kind of just screaming just sounds like some guy. It just sounds like some guy who's just raging because he couldn't get, because some girl that he's hitting on some game is just rejected him.
Fair, I suppose. To me, a lot of the time, screaming like this is mostly just like an extra instrument in the mix. Honestly, like I didn't bring it up, but there are no lyrics available for this online. I have the physical copy, and I still don't have the lyrics, so I don't think anyone knows what they're saying.
Yeah, I was on the back of my mind too. I couldn't find any lyrics for this, so I feel I wasn't real. My example wasn't me trying to pick out a meaning for this so much as just. That was just what it sounded like to me.
Fair. Because I know it's like some sort of concept album, but I could not tell you what the concept is.
The concept is that it's chaotic.
Yeah.
The concept is that the number 13 is scary.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I also like how the spiraling abyss does sound like you're spiraling in an abyss.
Yeah.
Even after, like, even during that middle section and to a lesser extent the last part. I was like, okay, you did your job. I love it when a song kind of nails what it's describing.
Yeah, I actually had that written down as well. Like, it's got those really, like, mangled guitar leads that make it sound that way, which I thought is really cool.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of just found myself drifting off listening to this one on both listens.
Fair.
Like
It is 10 minutes.
It is 10 minutes. A lot of these tracks are like 10 minutes long, and they don't need to be.
Yeah.
Although of the 3 tracks that were like 10 minutes plus, I did think Spiraling Abyss was the best and the most like deserving of its length of time, if that makes sense.
Probably.
I think another thing is that in general, I'm not really a huge fan of the more technical side of metal. It's like I like Tool, but like they kind of play it both ways, in that they're hella technical, but they also have hooks, and they have really
That's
good.
fair.
They have really good tones, guitar and bass tones. And Mayor James Keenan is a compelling vocalist. Yeah, but like
That's fair.
Other than that, and I guess the one Opeth album I've heard, I'm just not a huge technical metal person in general.
I wouldn't say I am either. Like, I listen to some tech death, but it's usually on the more colorful and atmospheric side. Whereas I listen to bands like Portal, Piron, even Imperial Triumphant. There's cool moments, but it kind of gets lost in the scattering of just like stuff happening all the time. And I kind of feel the same way about this album too, but there's also that little jazzy, mathy bent to it that makes this one a little more interesting.
I will say, if in terms of combining metal and jazz, my mind went to Black Jazz by Shining, and it made me wish I was listening to that instead.
That is a better album. I won't argue that.
Yeah, it's also shorter, even though I thought that album could stand to lose the last 2 songs. But like, honestly, I like
the last 2 songs. Omen's honestly one of my favorites on that album. So
yeah, it's like,
but that's a different album here.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's because like I've heard this kind of thing done before, and like I said, well, done similarly and done better. So I guess it's, in terms of just combining just this chaotic free jazz with just this absolutely unhinged yet extremely technical metal. So it didn't really shock me for the most part. It didn't really.
That's fair.
It didn't really grab me either, except for like the doomy parts, some drum fills, and also the screaming at the end. But that grabbed me in a bad way.
And I guess I get you with like the screaming on Grey Lodge. It's a little bit more desperate sounding. Which, like, if I could, like, maybe if I had the lyric sheet in front of me, then I could, like, connect it to the conclusion of some kind of narrative. But I can only speculate as to what narrative, if one even exists.
I know it's a concept album, but again, I don't know what that concept is.
One day, humans will learn.
I also say that the transitions between songs were pretty weird too. It's like some of these songs have some interesting outros, I will say. Like Lowell in particular, where the fidelity drops, and it's just whatever it was.
I did notice that. Yeah, that felt a little. Yeah, I'm sure it was intentional, but
yeah.
Again, I'm like, why exactly?
Yeah, but I guess it's like it's not more jagged, and it's not more jagged and incoherent than the other times this album switches from one idea to the next.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, again, that's probably just part of the, like, spontaneity it's trying to capture, but there's definitely places where it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Lowell's probably my least favorite on the whole. Like, there's just nothing that really stands out to me about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, but though I did like the bouncy riff at the beginning. It was a cool idea.
I kind of like in Lowell. I did like. Sorry.
Oh no, that was the end of that thought.
Oh, but what I was gonna say with Lowell, I liked in the last half the kind of laser beam synths that they had. And maybe laser beam isn't exactly the right word for it, but whatever preset that is, I need to find out what they used because I love it a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also, like, and with the vocals throughout the album, I did get used to them for the most part. Like, just like, even though these aren't exactly the kind of vocals that really do much for me at all. It's like, I wouldn't say outside of the last song that they detracted from the album. They were just kind of there. They were just another instrument to me.
You're building up tolerance, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm building a metal tolerance. I'm pretty sure I think I just don't get emo screaming. I think I just don't get emo in general. Oh, that's not fair. But anyway, yeah. It's just yeah. I think I've said pretty much everything I have to say about this album as a whole. Like it's the longest of the entire bunch, but I have the least thoughts about this one.
That's fair. It's definitely a lot to take in, but it's also not exactly worth the time it takes to take in, because one thing I noticed is that you both were pointing out like a lot of different parts that I also didn't even think of. So it's like everyone's going to take away something different from this album, is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And we should be stressed that it is a very dense. It's very full of ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, after 2 listens, you're definitely not going to have fully absorbed it. After like a dozen or more listens in like across almost a decade, I still feel like I'm listening to parts of it for the first time. So
maybe this is
it's.
This is what Revolution 9 sounds like. People hate Revolution 9.
Maybe. Like,
Probably,
I will
yeah.
say it's more interesting and fascinating than it is good, but I've continuously been fascinated by it just over the years, because, like, there's really nothing else quite like it out there. It's
tell.
cooler than it is good.
Yeah, so this is... So I guess, yeah, you could compare this to... That's what people have said about Trout Mask Replica as well. So maybe this is just the metal Trout Mask Replica.
It'll be appreciated as a classic in 20 years, but for now it's underappreciated in its time.
Definitely.
Just because it's not really all that impressive.
Definitely.
I liked it, and I did think that I don't know, so a lot of these technical displays were very interesting, very fascinating, and like I said, I have a high tolerance for just this kind of nonsense being thrown at me, but it is the kind of thing where, thinking about this album is probably better than listening to it, because when you listen to it, you just think, I don't know if this track needs to be 9 minutes,
Yeah.
You can cut it down to 6 and kind of get in the good ideas, so maybe it needed a little bit of self-editing to really trim the fat, but
I think that's part of his Zornisms, because his stuff also needs self-editing, but he's the only one it passes by. So
Honestly, that's kind of just how I feel about most prog metal.
fair. A lot of prog metal is really indulgent too.
Yeah, but then again, like I'm a Swans fan, so I can't really complain about indulgence.
Yeah, that's also really indulgent too. So.
Yeah, I'm a Sonic Youth fan, so like again, just like I can't really complain if a band wants to do like make half of the 15-minute song just kind of droning guitar loops.
Everyone has their own personal flavor of indulgence they appreciate, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And if you don't appreciate it, you find it really annoying.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get down with Sonic Youth indulgence.
Oh, yeah. And I will get more into Swans one of these days.
Hell yeah.
Or at least the 80s
Mageclick's
stuff.
trying to make me get into Swans, but it's not working.
Well,
I've listened to The Seer. I've listened to Be Kind. I think in full. At some point, I kind of just have to accept that it's never going to be my thing.
That's totally fair. I will.
see,
I will absolutely listen to the new album the day it comes out, though, which is sometime this month.
Of course.
I liked To Be Kind quite a bit. I thought the good tracks on that were really good. Soundtracks for the Blind is, I mean, the last time I listened to it, I was like, okay, there are 2 songs I like and 22 songs that make me scratch my head. But every time I've gone back to listen to it, the 2 songs I like change.
Oh, maybe Retrocausal is the metal soundtrack to the blind.
It could.
I don't
be.
think so.
I mean,
Yeah.
probably. I mean, well. Also, the last Swans album, the one about death, I thought that one was pretty good too.
Yes, Beggar.
The Beggar, yes, thank you.
Yeah, as much as I would love to talk about Swans all day, we do have another album we gotta talk about.
An even more prestigious band.
And last but not least,
The moment you've all been waiting for.
you. You know, it's funny. One of these bands Cleric has like 500 Spotify monthly listeners. Feminazgul has 2,000 Spotify monthly listeners. Avenged Sevenfold has 10 million monthly listeners. And yet Avenged Sevenfold. This album is the worst produced.
Yeah,
The production is like, really, but you guys are. You should have more money than this.
I have the most problems with this album, and that is like the biggest one. That is number 1 on that list.
The production.
Sorry. We're talking about "Life Is But a Dream" by Avenged Sevenfold. I forgot to say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my comment on the production is that it feels like really synthetic and lacking in the crispness I want from the metal album. It's just like not right, but I couldn't put my finger on what's wrong about it. Just that it isn't right.
That's a problem I have with alternative metal in general. I feel like the production makes it too clean, and it's kind of like trying to grab a watermelon covered in olive oil.
This sounds not right in a different way than most alternative metal sounds not right, I think. Like, I honestly, my problem with a lot of alternative metal is that a lot of it is just completely undynamic, and everything is just blown out and turned up to 11. But meanwhile, here everything's too quiet.
M Shadows is too quiet in the mix, especially.
Yeah.
But given how he sounds, I kind of get why. Because by God, does he sound rough.
Yeah.
I remember that being the one thing everyone pointed out, is that he sounded awful, and it is just true.
Yeah. Also, this was my first ever Avenged Sevenfold album.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever listened to an album from them in full, but I do know a lot of their songs from Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Like Beast and the Harlot, Bat Country are 2 of my favorites. Afterlife's pretty good. There's like at least one other one that's been in Guitar Hero that I
Almost
don't
Easy
remember
was
off
on
the
Rock
top of
Band
my
too.
Almost
Easy.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Nightmare is
I remember
good.
Mike.
And there's I had a friend back when I was like 13 or 14 or something around that time, I think, who was really into them, but I just never got me to check them out. Not really my scene.
Yeah. So I guess my quick Avenged Sevenfold story is that I had a cousin who was like she was an altar server and she was like really into like Christian metal and Christian adjacent metal, and I guess Avenged Sevenfold technically counted as Christian metal because their name was biblical, and yeah, like I'm sure they're like, well, whatever. So yeah, I definitely heard because she was also a fan of like Guitar Hero and shit. So definitely heard a lot of Beast of the Harlot.
Their lyrics are definitely very Christian and religious. Just like a lot of the time through like metaphor rather than like directly God, Jesus, God, like so many other bands.
They are not Creed.
Yeah, exactly. I guess they're. I think of them as Christian the way I think of Kendrick Lamar as Christian, which is to say, not proselytizing, but just kind of talking about it.
Yeah, and I can get down with that. You know, I have a sort of Avenged Sevenfold story of my own, but it's not really that deep, and that a lot of. I guess with the Christian thing is kind of funny because like I had a bunch of friends when I was in high school that all listened to Avenged Sevenfold. I guess I never listened to them myself back then, but like I guess no, but like we were all like a bunch of edgy atheists back then, so knowing the Christian narrative is kind of funny.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
It is.
Like even then, they made exceptions for Skillet, which was not controversial back then.
Oh god.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people being like, "Okay, fine, Skillet's the one. We'll give that to you." And now we'll give it to you, Christians. That's Skillet's the good one. Now it's like, I mean, I think they kind of shot their own reputation in the foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked the Skillet songs I heard back then too. But like, I fell out of them well before that.
Yeah. This is why we need bands like Feminazgul. No.
Yes,
exactly.
True.
Eggs freaking actly. But the other reason I bring up my cousin is to say that she did choir at Mass, and she was a singer, and like part of the reason she loved Avenged Sevenfold, and this is so cringe, but Fallen in Reverse, like because she loved that shit back in the day, and I thought it was ass because I thought Avenged Sevenfold was okay, but just a lot of that like terrible alternative metal that's like really like undynamic. And anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The point is she liked Avenged Sevenfold because she admired M Shadows as a singer. She loved those metal bands that had like very strong, powerful singers, and I don't want to harp on him too much because I know he has had some issues with his vocals and like procedures and strains and concerns, but that does like he doesn't sound all that great on this album, which is disappointing because like his vocals are on those other songs, they're pretty consistent. He's a very I wouldn't say my favorite singer, but he's very good at what he does.
No, yeah, like he's really good on everything else I've heard from him. It's like just this album where you can tell he's not in it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at on that too. Like he sounds great on Nightmare. That's like my favorite song that I know from them. And I would know that.
I don't remember which album it was, but I know that Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater played drums on the album like right after their original drummer passed.
I think it's the one with Nightmare on it.
Yeah, that's like the most crossover I know besides the songs from Guitar Hero.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of individual.
We found ourselves in.
I have
off of
thoughts
Mattel
on almost every song here, so I'm fine if we just want to go through song by song.
Honestly, like y'all are more than welcome to. I'm just that one line in Mattel just stood out to me as like the most. Like I just kind of had to. I felt bad.
Which
for
line?
The guy. Like in Mattel when he says we try to say we found ourselves in hell, but it sounds like like he just says it so much quieter. When that's supposed to be louder.
Yeah.
You cut out on Discord while you were saying that, which is very funny.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, well, it'll pick up in Audacity at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Game Over is like the one song I have. I think it's the. Oh, wait, no, there's two songs I have starred. That's one of them.
Game Over
Okay.
has me like. It's very funny you brought up Falling in Reverse, because reading this title from this band made me go, my life is like a video game.
Yeah, but thankfully, it does not turn into Falling in Reverse. It instead turns into System of a Down.
Yeah, this one was kind of thrashy.
Yeah,
That's what
I think that's why I
known,
like
which-
it a lot.
Yeah, that scans.
Like,
I thought it was. I think the song sounds okay, but I always take issue with bands using suicide as like a plot device, basically, like this song does. Like, oh, my life is so boring. I guess I'll kill myself. That's how it comes off.
I mean, I didn't get that in this song. I mean, that comes up later in the album. But
Yeah, that also comes up later on the album.
Like-
I didn't like it there either. But
Yeah, but I didn't pick up on that on this song in particular, so like I guess I didn't really take issue with that on here.
yeah,
Yeah, it
I do
does.
think
It does feel overused in like kind of in like metal specifically, at least. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
I felt I just took away more of it talking about, talk about how mundane life is, and I'm thinking, okay, I can just listen to OK Computer. It has better production.
also true.
And it talks
Also
about the
true.
same stuff. Or I
Because
could just listen to
I do get that they're setting up like this first track and then D parentheses F at the end were paralleling with the same themes, but it's not a theme I like,
Yeah.
especially the way they handled it here.
Yeah, oh yeah, they are blunt. And I normally like blunt. I'm a huge punk head, but like I need a little more than this in this if you're gonna do a message like this that's been done to death.
I mean, that's kind of the whole album is kind of like that. Like every single concept they cover, I've heard this before. I've heard it done better.
Yeah, like with Mattel, literally the first note I wrote on the second listen, going back to Radiohead, was a green plastic watering can.
The first note I wrote was they should have pitched this for the Barbie movie soundtrack.
Yeah, I
I don't know why they didn't.
also
It honestly fits thematically with that movie, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, like fucking. It's about dolls, or kind of
Uh,
or plastic things at least.
but then it
We are all
kind of,
dolls, and the world is giant dollhouse. Yeah.
yeah, but like the line "It seems we found ourselves in hell" just made me roll my eyes, and not even just the delivery, just the actual lyrics itself. Like there was no way they were gonna make that line work for me.
Yeah, like, and it did make me appreciate the Feminazgul album being like more poetry than prose, because at least those it didn't have a lot of lyrics, but there were few and they stuck with you. And this one's trying to tell a story or some kind of theme, but it does so with not a lot of artfulness and kind of a bluntness that you said is maybe better suited for punk, but not this a grandiose experimental metal project.
Yeah. Also,
Fair.
this song also just turns into gent, and I don't like gent.
Yeah.
This song is like the most all over the place on the album. Like there were so many moving parts in this song. I still don't really remember all of them.
Yeah, it's like, let's see. I just remember there being surprised by synths when the synths showed up. Like, okay, we're doing this now, and it also kind of goes on a bit too long, but like not nearly as long as Retrocausal. But I think I felt the length of this album more than Retrocausal. If I'm being honest.
Interesting.
Fair.
Very interesting.
Interesting. I honestly would not agree with that, but interesting. I will say, like, this is weird praise to give, but I appreciate that this, like, their brand of weirdo progressive metal is, like, more 2000s coded than the modern style of progressive metal that is, like, really genty and not all that adventurous. Like, this felt like a throwback almost to, like,
I was gonna say, yeah,
that kind of
this felt
sound.
like, yeah, like they were definitely like I could tell. Like I think part of the reason why people are like, oh, it's bad, but I respect it, is because they are definitely sincere and kind of drawing from some more esoteric influences. They clearly weren't trend writing, because nothing quite sounds this And I mean, like, I'll be blunt. There's points where this album just sounds straight up goofy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It
But
really
like
does.
that kind of comes with the territory of prog metal. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
you go back to Between the Buried and Me around that time, they were doing all sorts of wacky crap in their songs, and even wackier than this, honestly. Like the freaking hoedown breakdown of Ants in the Sky.
Yeah. I forgot about it.
Yeah. All I remember from Between the Buried and Me is Colors. I just remember listening to the album, not getting it, but like
Understandable.
Oh,
I didn't get it for a while either.
I just remember I just heard Son of Nothing in a Milo Pony YouTube group when I was 14, and it made me want to check them out eventually.
That sounds fascinating.
It played both the quiet and the loud parts in different sections of that, and I thought they were two different songs.
They kind of are, honestly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's often the case with prog music generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So after Mattel is Nobody, which
Right.
which just had a weird intro. Also, I'm gonna get this out of the way. He says, "I am the sun," and between that and the song title, I'm just thinking swans because those are two swan song titles.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stuff them in every chance I get.
Swans.
Understandable.
God.
This one was a bit like more down tempo, and I thought the horns sounded really weird on it.
Yeah,
Like
this
it didn't quite mesh with the rest of the tune.
Yeah, this just felt. This one just sounded even thinner than the last two songs, production wise.
Yeah, and like I remember earlier, Mage, you had said that like the problem with most alt metal production is that it can like flatten the audio by just having everything too loud, and this album had everything too quiet. And I still think that in both cases, you know, there is a lack of dynamics. There's a lack of breathing room, of taking advantage of all the space, and I think it's still like a bad lesson you can learn if you do one of those like overly polished alt metal things. And like I don't even think of Avenged Sevenfold as like the worst offenders in that by any means. I mean, certainly not when, you know, like Falling in Reverse exists. Not to I will shit on them every chance I get.
Absolutely, go ahead.
I hated that band when I was growing up, and everyone around it.
It's a terrible band, and Ronnie Kiraki is a terrible person, so absolutely deserved every single.
There's no advantage to liking them.
No.
And God, everybody in the Rio Grande Valley was into that like fucking shit butt rock. When I was younger.
Sounds terrible.
Honestly,
I'm so sorry.
I never knew anyone who was into Falling in Reverse, but I feel like my friends in high school would have probably liked them.
They are a very angry teenager band.
Yeah. Very high school type music.
Yeah. I also want to, and then on the second listen, I listened to the lyrics, and I guess this is just pantheistic. I guess they're just talking about just being one with the universe, and yet again, I could be listening to Swan sing about that instead, and where's the body at?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's another thing about this album is that like it's got all these different themes, but what is tying this together, honestly?
Yeah, it kind of just feels like navel gazing to me.
Yeah. Like, aside from, like, a streak of nihilism that runs across a lot of these songs, there's not really a consistent through line, but it also feels like it's supposed to be a concept album, right? Like, the way it starts and the way it ends, and the fact that the last three tracks, besides the outro, are all part of a suite. It feels like there's supposed to be something tying them together, but even those three songs are all about different things.
It just feels like the band just listened to the wall one day and they decided they want to make a concept album, but like they just did it on the spot.
Well, the thing about this album is that I'm pretty sure they went further in this direction because their previous album, The Stage, was kind of like them starting to push towards a more progressive route, and that album got rave reviews for them. Like, the rare moment where both like the popular and critical consensus thought, yeah, this is good. So like, okay, we should do that, but more, and then everyone hated it.
Yeah, wasn't that like several years before this?
That was 2016, I want to say. So it was like they went on like a long hiatus.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah. So like, that just makes me wonder why this album sounds like this. Then.
I think one thing I had like when I was, especially when I was listening to track 4, "We Love You," is that and I think they did like kind of, we're maybe looking at bands like Mr. Bungle and Between the Buried and Me as influences, but maybe I think at some point somebody got it in their head that avant-garde metal is that if it's more random, it's more better to do that. And that is kind of the vibe I get, that some of these songs are meant to like confuse and throw you off guard, as opposed to kind of invoking a specific feeling or emotion in a weird way. And then like thematically, I mean, just the fact that Avenged Sevenfold, a band like them, made an album this out there, that itself is a proof of a concept. But then there is nothing really going on except some vague ideas about life and the universe and God and death and stuff, which is like what 30% of all metal albums are about. So
Yeah, like, to repeat a phrase, it's more interesting than it is good, but it is interesting.
I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna
It's
joke.
very interesting.
You think they listen to Cleric?
yeah.
I
Maybe.
highly doubt that, but it would be very funny if they did.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some guys probably listen to like some Zorn adjacent stuff at some point, but I mean, not maybe.
Yeah.
We don't
Probably.
know.
knows?
I'm not these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of "We Love You," it's like it had an even weirder intro that eventually settled into a groove.
Yeah,
Then-
like,
Yeah.
it started out weirdly jazzy and then just hard cut with like no transition to a dance beat or something.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was very abrupt.
more
It was-
power, more bass,
Yeah.
more guns, more chacos, more.
Also,
yeah,
I had a funny quip about how actually being 1 in a million means there's around 8,000 of you, which it is a very funny phrase considering.
Yeah. I also wrote, "There's a reason why System of a Down songs are short."
God,
I wrote
isn't
that
true, though?
like the whole thematic approach of like the unstoppable desire for progress and the materialistic nature of society makes me think of Handlebars by Flowbots on easy mode, which I only thinking that because I'm reviewing that song in another video soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it is kind of, like kind of Baby's first, progress and the desire. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Baby's first
Yeah.
time.
Again, the very shallow on the nose version of that. It's acknowledging that it's a thing, but not really digging into it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it
that's-
is. We live in a society.
We live in a society, yes.
That is the review of this album. We live in a society.
Joker's trick.
I did think it was kind of clever in the third verse, where because like it all goes like more X, more Y, like more wants, more needs, more hits, more fiend. I thought that made me like, okay. I was like, that's something. That's
is-
wordplay. We don't have
wordplay.
we don't get
Yeah.
we don't get much of that on this album.
Yeah, at least
Congrats,
it's
way to
it's there.
wordplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't notice that, but yeah, you're right. It's like it is at least an attempt at being clever, like in a little bit.
I feel like this is the one that the most people hated just because of how like positive it sounds, but it's sarcastic also. So
Oh,
Yeah, and I
it's
feel like production-wise, it is just the most jarring to listen to, like, out of
Yeah.
context. Especially with, like, those first 30 seconds that just never come back in any other way.
Yeah. So, funnily enough, there is a part where he's just doing some guttural screaming, and I actually prefer that to the clean singing on this.
interesting.
At least the high pitched clean singing. It's like, I don't know. I just don't like the. I just don't. Like I remember he said before that he was. It just sounds wrong on this album, and I guess this is like a prime example of that. I feel. Like whenever he's doing.
Yeah,
I don't remember the specific moment, but I would definitely believe it.
Yeah, it does. It is awful, because I feel like his singing is passable most of the time, but then there are, like, 20 to 25 just really bad moments that just really, like, hit wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like, a couple of those on every song, and that kind of just drags the whole thing down. And I don't know, I wish he didn't like kind of push himself to that point when, there's clearly like, he does have like vocal cord problems of some sort. I don't know what the specifics are. He's been, and obviously entitled to his privacy and all that, but it is, like you can notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard better singers sounding worse. Like, no shade, but the last Thrice album, Dustin Kendrew sounded awful on, like, way worse than this. And that dude can sing, so...
Interesting.
I feel like it's interesting because those are both, like, post-COVID albums. And I'm wondering if that's part of the problem.
Yeah, that... We can't discount it.
We cannot discount it.
That's a totally fair assumption to make. Yeah. So Cosmic is the other song that I have starred.
Yeah, I wanted to. I've kind of been bearing the lead on this, but I did know 2 songs from this album ahead of time because I got sent them a few years ago when the album came out. There was this one, and then there was G, which we'll get to later, of course. But this Cosmic is the one I'd actually really liked.
Yeah,
like, this is like the most normal song on the album. Probably, it's basically just a power ballad. But it's a pretty good power ballad.
Yeah, it is. It's like, that's what I wrote. It's like a prog metal power ballad, and it's also the most focused song on the album.
Absolutely.
Definitely,
yeah,
it seemed to be the fan favorite of the project, even among people who were skeptical about it.
Yeah, and then
I understand why. Yeah.
And then it's just a very sweet love song, and honestly, it's the most simple on the album, but like that works to its favor.
Especially on this album, yeah, that makes it stand out.
Yeah, I also like when the synth tones kick in. It's like very Daft Punk-esque.
I was gonna say, yeah, I love the kind of spaciness of the production. I thought that was pulled off pretty well. Yeah, the cosmicness. Yeah, like not all of those like ventures into new sounds and elements go off well, but I thought they were pretty good at doing like atmospheric space things. And I think the song kind of builds and then falls and then builds and builds pretty well.
Yeah, like I really like the solo in the front half, and I really like the build up in the back half. I'm a sucker for that kind of build up.
Oh yeah, same. Like this,
and the classic love story: 2 lovers bound by destiny who always find each other no matter what universe they're in. It's cute. I've heard it before, but it's cute.
Yeah,
you don't expect something that like wholesome on a metal album.
Yeah, particularly one like this that is based especially on the We Live in a Society album.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how this ties into some kind of greater theme. There even is one, but it is like,
yeah, it has nothing to do with everything else, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
I think these are just like kind of random tracks that they were having fun with, or just ideas they wanted to tinker around.
Yeah, it just happened to be the longest track on the album. It's also in the dead center of the album.
Like when I heard this, I thought it was the album closer. It's not, and I don't know why it isn't. But
yeah, but like this song actually deserves to be as long as it is, which is something I can't say about pretty much anything else that any of the other like 5 to 6 minute songs on this album.
Yeah.
Yeah, why does We Love You have that Wild West-ass outro? I know I forgot to talk about it, but why does it just...
It has so many parts that I don't even remember them all, yeah.
Yeah, it's just... so many of these songs just have, like, weird detours and interludes, and...
It's prog, man. We gotta make it wacky.
The more wacky, the more prog it is.
Yes, it's prog. It's prog. We just do whatever. It's prog. We gotta wank.
Lord, it's avant-garde. It's avant-garde because we made the production bad and the singing bad. That's avant-garde.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's that meme of the wolf. Yeah, I made a concept album. The concept is that it's bad.
Yeah.
The concept. I didn't think this was that bad, honestly. Like, I've also kind of buried the lead. I think this album is fine. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's definitely not as bad as I thought it would be.
I wouldn't call it bad either, but like, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah,
I got like.
I will also say we are through the good half of the album now.
yeah.
I was gonna say like the back half is different than the front half.
I do also need to say that even Cosmic still doesn't have the best mixing, but the song itself is good enough that I don't really care in this case.
Yeah.
Beautiful Morning just goes back to the chugging, though.
I have no thoughts about Beautiful Morning, which is fascinating to say, but it just inspires no emotion in me whatsoever.
It sounds like an Alice in Chains song.
It's neat, I guess. Like, it's a slow burn. Like, I like the ending, I guess, but... And the vocals don't suck.
I guess.
I was going to say, yeah.
It was completely in one ear, out the other for me. I had to re-listen to this one a second time, and I still didn't get it. A third time, I guess, since I listened to the album twice, but I didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
When I first listened to this one, like, back when it came out, this was one of the only songs that I liked at the time because I just thought it just sounded like an Alice in Chains song.
That's fair.
And I liked it, and I thought the kind of... he sounded at... M. Shadow sounded at home in his lower register. Disculpe. But I always thought the phrase that starts the chorus, you walk on water, but the water swallows you. Like, I've always been annoyed by that, because, like, there has to be... Which kind of ties into how, like, blunt and... maybe artless some of these lyrics can get, because if that's going to be the centerpiece of your chorus, there has to be a more artful way to say you think you're Jesus but you fail, or at least maybe not the water swallows. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, most people walk on water if it would be set up. I don't know, something about that. It's kind of just like bad, but in a way that I can't exactly figure out why.
My lifestyle determines my death style.
My lifestyle determines my death style.
Yeah, I honestly don't mind the hook on there, mainly because, like, it's an actual hook, and there's not a lot of those on this album.
You know what? That is a good point.
I thought there were hooks on this album, just not necessarily good ones, but they were there.
Exactly. Yeah, there are odd hooks, but this was like, yeah.
It helps that they pound it into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, also, verses were pretty iffy, though, in terms of, like, how they sound.
And that psychedelic pop section was another detour.
Yeah.
That this album makes.
I trust that y'all are talking about the actual song because I just could not get anything out of this one. I trust that you're all telling the truth.
Yeah. Well, no, we're lying. We're spreading misinformation.
It's actually the best song ever. No.
Damn. I thought that was a tribute. By what's their name? Jack
Tenacious
Black
D.
Band. Tenacious D.
Tenacious D. Avenged Sevenfold. Jack Black of Avenged Sevenfold.
I mean, Tenacious D doesn't sound that different from Avenged Sevenfold sometimes.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, they're kind of... Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Easier. I only wrote one note on the first listen, and that was okay.
Easier sure is a motivational anthem.
Yeah. It's like, well, when I listened to the lyrics second time, I actually did have more to say, but where it's just talking about escapism and, about how too much of that is unhealthy, but like, it's on this album, and it's written in the same way as the rest of this album, so it's not saying anything that hasn't been said before. It's not delivering it in a way that makes that palpable or interesting.
Right, like, if this was trying to be a subversive motivational song, that completely didn't scan for me. It just sounds like your average, oh man, life has its ups and downs, but it gets better sort of song.
Yeah, like, the vocal effects on here were different. They almost felt like some of the vocal effects you'd hear on a Tool song, but like not nearly as interesting.
I did
have it written down that like I liked the riffs on this one, but it also was like slotted alongside this weird neo-prog cheese fest, and like those two things do not go together.
Yeah.
I was good. Like the only note I had for this song was that I liked the the guitar tones at the end of the song, which kind of sounded like 70s classic rockish.
That neo prog tone.
Yeah, which is I thought those were interesting sounds.
Yes, I mean, I don't know. I wrote that the final synth sounds like a fart.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and now
I'm remembering it.
Now we have entered the God Suite, which
Now
I don't know.
Now we go from avant-garde metal to just straight up avant-garde.
I don't even know why it's a suite. It's not like these songs really tie together.
Nuh-uh.
They don't tie together, and they're all the worst songs on the album. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah. It's like,
I mean, I kind of admire them just for, and I guess I've listened to them so much, I've kind of Pavloved myself into enjoying them, but it's also, like, the weirdest thing. Like, I never thought that the, like, Beast and the Harlot band, when I was playing Guitar Hero, would be making songs that sound like Random Access Memories.
yeah, Random Access Memories if it were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like G is like that sarcastic God voice he's doing is painful. The crypto catchphrase at the end makes me want to die. It just the whole theme of like, oh, creating man was a mistake. I gotta start over. Bleh. Shut up.
Yeah,
I do not like this one.
Yeah, it's like okay. I tend to I am very interested in subject matter like this that looks at this kind of story from a critical lens, but like it still needs to be good. It still needs to say something interesting. Like it still feels like
it's just pure nihilism.
These are all thoughts that I had when I was 14. I've heard this before.
I'm 14 and this is so deep.
Like I literally pretty sure I thought this like these exact words when I was 14.
On the 7th day, I thought about world peace, but I decided just to take it off.
Yeah, I wrote that like, feels.
Bro,
Thanks and shadows.
that is sub live journal type shit.
Oh,
you would get banned from live journal for their editorial standards.
I did write that
like that.
I did write that does feel like something that Maynard James Keenan would write as a lyric. You see, I'm bringing up Tool a lot.
Yeah.
He would write it, but ironically, this dude believes this.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like, but you've noticed that I'm bringing up Tool a lot, and because it sounds like that's what they're going for is his Maynard James Keenan's style of lyricism, but like he can't.
I don't know if I'd quite agree with that, but
it's like I guess more just his general style, his general wit, just the way he goes about approaching subject matters. Like, you know. But either way, this really is just a Reddit atheist in a song.
But a Reddit atheist who's also a Christian, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, well, pretty much, yeah.
A lot. Yeah, that's a. Yeah, again, it's a bit of a head scratcher, but I guess people could change in 20 years.
It's like he's saying that like how he's portraying God as like sick of people. I guess preaching his name, is bastardizing his word, but like, are you gonna do something with that?
Yeah, kind of go into detail about the ways that people are like kind of invoking your name to an atrocity, or like again, like as avenues to explore. It all feels like very surface level. We live.
There's
in
avenues to explore, but the end conclusion is like, oh man, humanity sucks, doesn't it? We're just like, go to bed.
Yeah, it's like,
child.
If I wanted to hear that, I would just read the story of Noah. Like he's just retelling the story of Noah.
Basically, that is true. Yeah,
kinda, just with a sardonic wink type of douchebaggy approach.
Oh, so it can be reconciled with the Christian part.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. It doesn't make it.
Let's move on because I'm tired of talking about this song. So, Ordinary. Oh God, it's about AI. Someone kill me, please.
I can just emphasize this really does sound like random access memories with the like kind of disco drums, that little guitar
Like,
thing,
yeah.
the little faint synths. It just like I try to think of something else to describe it as, but that's literally all I can think of. Just sounds like
I
a
definitely
worse
hear it.
version.
Yeah, like sure, Avenged Sevenfold makes synth pop. Why the hell not? It's
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's like I get that. Like I know that this is supposed to be like a song about a robot having an existential crisis, which has also been done a million times already.
right, but you know, because M Shadows is a crypto guy, that this is definitely about like AI,
Oh, he is?
ChatGPT. This is a song about ChatGPT.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know he was a crypto.
Damn.
Didn't know he was a crypto show. Yeah, that. I guess putting that.
I brought it up, but the last lyric of G is like a crypto catchphrase flip.
Is it?
Yeah, I did not
Yeah.
know that.
I need to.
Yeah, you know what? That does kind of recontextualize this song here, and not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
What if my AI therapist has feelings?
So it's
I
like
need somebody give her feelings.
we're taking a break from this surface level prog metal album about how people suck to talk about one of the reasons why people suck, but we're gonna promote that thing that sucks.
I just, aside from it sounding okay, I again really just dislike this on premise.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
the freaking THX jump scare at the end. Why?
I thought the outro was cool. Like
It just makes me think of the loud THX meme, which I am old enough to remember that being an actual thing.
I have heard
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, and I could just listen to Daft Punk to get this sound.
You could just listen to Daft Punk. You should probably do that. They're better.
Yeah.
When they write lyrics about robots having feelings, they're not talking about AI girlfriends.
Yeah, exactly.
No. They're not talking about the plagiarism machine that's killing our planet. No.
Exactly. It's like,
They're not talking about the machine that lets me take pictures of and turn them into Studio Ghibli.
yeah, I this is why I'm a philosophical misanthrope, people. And I could actually probably talk about why humans suck better than any of the lyrics on the sound could, but that's not what I'm here to do.
But Larry and Jihad 2028.
What was that?
And it's a Dune reference.
Ah.
It's when they like destroy all the thinking machines
Oh, alright.
in the Dune timeline.
Yeah, I just play Doom for the gameplay. I
Dune,
didn't
not
get it.
Doom. I think.
Oh yeah, Dune, the spice book.
Oh.
They words that sound similar.
They do, especially with my like fucking hick accent.
I understood you just fine.
I have
thank you.
I mean I have a hick accent too. But, like I just didn't get it. Yeah,
You're fine.
I should check out.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the penultimate track, parentheses D and parentheses F.
Oh God.
Yep. So
I
why
love
is
that
M
he's just-
Shadows trying to get his Sinatra on?
I was gonna say, like, I know the song is about like the suicide or whatever, but I cannot think about that because every time I listen to the song, I just think, why is he doing like a traditional pop kind of thing, like a lounge act that occasionally has an electric guitar burst through? It's like he's so passionate about it, but like, for the love of God, why?
Like, do you get it? It sounds sweet, but it's about suicide. You know.
What a
It's a
wonderful
s-
world.
It's a somber ending. Oh, you don't say.
Like, and
Yeah,
it also
Not say.
and the production still sounds like shit, and that's still
Really does.
and on a song like this that's supposed to be lush, it's to sound lush and flowing. You want it to sound good. It's like the people in the 50s had an excuse, and that was the best they could. That was the best they had. And like honestly,
Right.
that 50, like I've heard an entire Frank Sinatra album from the 50s, and it sounds way better than this. And in terms of fidelity,
Yeah, all those old '50s albums sound fine.
Exactly.
It really doesn't yeah, I do wonder how like they made the kind of basic mistakes for a band that should have a lot more resources at their disposal to make a better sounding lounge album, like, or not a lounge album, but it's like if you're gonna like do this sound, really like get lush and orchestral and really with it, because I don't know, they think this band can do pretty good atmosphere when it wants to. I think it did a decent job of that on a lot of the tracks on this album, but yeah, I don't know, with these like last four songs that just kind of issue any semblance of metal altogether, they just really misses the mark. And I kind of would rather that they either maybe put these experimental songs on another, like an EP that could just say, oh, this is our experimental EP, or just make a whole album of songs that sound like this and just say, all right, well, now you can't get mad because it's your thing anyway. But the pacing is so odd how you just wouldn't like shuffle these in with the rest of the songs.
It's not only that they don't sound like the rest of the albums, that they don't sound like each other either. You go from like this weird funk rock thing to this synth pop Daft Punk thing to traditional Frank Sinatra sounding thing. Those don't go together. Why are they a suite?
Yeah, it's like what ties the three together? Because like it's not the sound, it's not the lyrics, it's not the subject matter. Why is it a suite?
Yeah,
and there's no story.
It's prog. It's progressive. It's avant-garde. It's bad.
Prog.
It's quite bad.
Do we just get to call any pair of songs a suite now or something?
I guess so. Or
I mean, they kind of transition into each other, which is why they're a suite. But
do they though? Like more so than some of the other times that happens in this album?
I would say so.
I mean, a little bit. It's like it's subtle, but I think there's some like fading in there that is done with at least a little bit of like, okay, we're gonna at least have the songs like blend into each other. This is gonna be our closing out opus, and it's like 3 songs that last 8 minutes total. That's your
Something
big
like that. Yeah.
closing suite. Like literally, the song "Cosmic" is about as long as these 3 songs.
Yeah, that's
And that actually does sound symphonic and like grandiose.
Right, like I said, that should have been the album closer. Like, move it after easier. Cut the last 4 crap songs, and the album would be okay.
Doesn't
not great, but
didn't the album before this close with a 16-minute song?
I don't remember, but I know it was the prog one, so I believe it.
Like I'm pretty sure like that. Like, I don't know. This feels like if they wanted to do some big grand prog finale, I feel like they could have channeled. They could have gone for some higher numbers. Maybe they didn't have the ideas to do it.
Yeah, and that might be a kind of lack of ideas to work on. But you're right. The last song of the stage Exist is 15 minutes 39 seconds. And then Cosmic is the longest one on this thing at 7:31. And it seemed like they had a lot of ideas they had bouncing around. So it would have been nice if they kind of ended. Yeah,
Honestly,
they took advantage of that.
Sounds like they just had a lot of ideas that they just did not want to expound upon. It's like they just thought, ooh, here's a thing, and here's another thing, and here's this, and here's this, and they kind of just mushed them together haphazardly because this album has a flow issue too, like we're discussing that. I guess not just that Cosmic should be the last song. It's just in general these songs do not flow together at all the way they are.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's also kind of a prog issue. I feel like even Tool is guilty of this sometimes. A lot of the time.
Yeah.
I feel you. And I think the last track of the song that actually does end the album is the most, oh, hey, here's an idea thing of them all. The title track, Life is But a Dream, which is just 4 minutes and 30 seconds of somebody fucking around on a piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like this kind of mellow instrumental at the end of the album track is not new to me. Like, and I know full well what a coda is, but I hate it every time. Like, it just means the album's ending on this weird mediocre note that no one cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, if you want to do want to know how you do a coda? Just be like the end of Soundtrack to the Blind, where it's just a single 2-minute drone, and that's the entire song.
I kind of thought the coda on, and I was just listening to this, but on Petro Dragonic Apocalypse by King Gizzard, the coda to that one is like, I guess, 4 minutes at the end of Flamethrower, which it's after the climax, but it is like kind of creepy and eerie, and it's supposed to be tied to themes of like, okay, like the world has ended, and this is like the weird remnants of what's left, and it's atmospheric and it's creepy and it plays into something, and it's not just a piano being played at a volume that seems to go up and down at random.
Yeah.
I may have tried to. I don't know if this is what it's actually supposed to represent, or if I'm just trying to instill meaning into it that it doesn't deserve. But I just thought this tied into the suite, and that this is just representing being a peace after death, and given that the death is suicide, that kind of makes me hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
a bit
it's definitely meant to be like a coda to the suite.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, totally. And I do get what they were like, wanting to end on something peaceful and relaxing, and like this kind of gentle piano thing. I wouldn't say it's unheard of in regular metal, much less prog or avant-garde metal. So I wouldn't say it's the most out of or unexpected thing, but again, it lasts way too long, and there's just nothing interesting about it because it is the coda to a narrative that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, it's like it wants to have some kind of pathos to it, but it doesn't earn its pathos. And even if
I also just got done listening to you trying to be Daft Punk and Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
So I'm just not really in the mood to hear this anymore.
Yeah, honestly, it's like I don't care about the pathos or the ethos of the sound, for that matter. It's like I just don't care about anything you guys are bringing to the table on here.
No, and like this is kind of crackpot and me projecting because I know M Shadows is like a crypto good, but like I have to wonder if he's like believes in simulation theory and like, oh, life is a dream, we have to wake up from it by killing ourselves, which he's definitely not saying that, but I can't help but like impress it upon this album the way its themes are laid out.
I mean, it's not like he gives us any other narrative to like draw from. So like, why wouldn't we kind of draw weird conclusions like that? We're working with what we have.
Yeah. It's like a very shallow attempt to portray solipsism, but like it's not like you gotta give me more than that if you're gonna portray an actual philosophical concept. It's like this, or like it's like we get, and especially in 2023, where there's just a whole bunch of people that talk about we're in the Matrix, we gotta break free from the Matrix, we gotta break from the shackles. Like
I know he's probably actually talking about heaven, but Christian battle band and all that, but like just knowing what I know, it's hard not to see it from this worse angle.
Yeah, and that does that's totally fair. Like and of course, like the production still sucks. So this piano still sound like this piano still do nothing for me, even in a vacuum.
Yeah, it's the whole album is a mess from every aspect, and I completely understand why everyone clowned upon it. I didn't think it was that bad. I expected it to be worse, but I'm not gonna go back to it.
Me neither. Like
I will go back to Feminazgul probably. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, if I had to rank these three albums, I'd probably go. My favorite is Retrocausal, then Life Is But a Dream, then No Dawn for Men. I guess with regard to Life Is But a Dream, I thought that it's a complete mess. It doesn't make sense, and even for a band like making their first steps into out of out of prog metal into straight, avant-garde between the Buried in Me type stuff. I think that even if it's your first outing, a band like Avenged Sevenfold should know a little bit better about basic song structure and how production,
Yeah.
how to write songs that don't strain your singer's strained vocal cords. But in general, I do think that because this is just kind of offbeat and off the wall, there are parts of it that get stuck in my head, and I think I don't know. I enjoy it every time I come back to it, just because I'm kind of I find it fascinating, and
It is absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very singular.
I would probably rank these No Dawn for Men, then Retrocausal, then this one. But it's like 6 out of 10s at the bottom two, and like strong 7, maybe low 8 for the No Dawn for Men. If I had to decide numbers.
That's about the range I would give all these albums. Yeah, I don't know what exactly I would rate them all, but it's about that range.
If I were to do this, okay, I'd have to. Okay, No Dawn for Men is definitely my top. I'd say that one's definitely an 8. Yeah, but the other two I'm conflicted on, because on one hand, Life is But a Dream had the best of Life is But a Dream is better than the best of Retrocausal, but the worst on is also worse than the worst on that.
Fair.
And also,
I think so. Yeah, it's.
I also Retrocausal is far longer, but Life is But a Dream just feels its length way more, I feel. And that they both have the issue of they're just kind of just move on to the next thing. They not at the very
That's
least
avant-garde metal, baby.
but at the very least I don't at the very least it doesn't feel like some Retrocausal doesn't feel like some pretentious navel gazer who just learned about basic philosophy, telling me all the stuff he learned from his just telling me about his bong rip theology.
I mean, it totally could be. We don't know what any of those words are.
I'll to be fair.
Yeah, maybe, but at the very least, Retrocausal also sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds
It
decent.
does sound, yeah. It is amazing how much better that album sounds than Life is But a Dream.
Yeah.
It's got Colin Marston producing it. I'd hope it sounds good.
Yeah, no, he showed up. And I didn't even realize I liked the production on that until I re-listened to Life is But a Dream, and I was like, oh, dynamics. I missed that.
Yeah, it's it's just. So yeah, I guess I'll say No Dawn for Men is an 8. Retrocausal is a 6, and Life is But a Dream is a 5.
That's fair.
Okay.
Pretty much the same as me.
Yeah.
I guess my final thought on the 3 albums is that I was thinking about it, and they kind of form an id, ego, super ego type trio, where No Dawn for Men is kind of the super ego. It's an album that is just, okay, we're doing black metal and we're gonna play it more or less straight, but we're going to kind of take these very interesting and methodical directions in it. These birds and these accordions and these folk things, and it's very kind of a safe-ish entry into black metal, while still being unique enough in its own right with its its production and its themes that it stands out. And then you have Retrocausal, which is kind of an ego, which does kind of blend it. Okay, we're going to just do all this madness, indulgent production that's a lot of fun to us, but we're going to do it in a methodical way. We're going to make sure that all of these songs are structured right. We're going to make sure they tie into something. We're going to actually do compositions. And then Life is But a Dream is kind of the super ego, which I consider the equivalent of carrying one of those big trays of sandwiches. You kind of trip over, drop it, and then you have to put all the sandwiches back together, and then you get mad at people who say that, what, the sandwiches were always like this. What are you talking about? Shut up.
Wait, didn't you say No Dawn for Men was the super ego?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I heard you
Did
say
you mean that
Life-
was the id? Which one was the id?
I'm sorry. No, it was Life is But a Dream.
Okay.
That's the id because
That's
it's
what I
just
thought.
like it's just pure. Yeah, it's just pure impulse. It's just pure. Or it comes off as pure impulse anyway. So I guess I thought that was kind of interesting. You could kind of like map that Freudian trio onto these 3 albums with regard to like kind of out there metal.
Yeah,
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it too.
Like I said at the start, they're 3 very different albums here.
Yeah, they will all scare the normies and in completely different ways, and some of them will scare the non-normies in other completely different ways.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I've exhausted all my thoughts on all 3 of these albums.
We've been going for
I
almost
have
2
to.
hours, so
Yep, this is
Yeah.
double the length of the past 2 episodes. Makes sense because we're talking about more albums now.
yeah,
I feel like half of that was just about Life is But a Dream.
yeah.
Yeah,
That one.
There's a lot
I
to
mean,
say
I guess
about
that
that album.
one really gives. I mean, that one really gives you something to talk about.
Yeah,
It really
Sure.
gives you stuff to chew on. If you can like chew on like rubber, or like thumbtacks.
yeah, and crypto.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And AI girlfriends.
You cannot chew on them, sadly. Well, not sad. Well, not sad. Sadly,
you could
for
chew on the
people.
motherboard.
Oh, sadly
M
for the
Shadows
people.
is gonna find a way. He'll find a way to do it. That's what Life is But a Dream 2 is about.
Oh god.
Yeah, okay. Life is but a dream too. All the lyrics were written by ChatGPT.
Would that be any different?
It couldn't be any worse.
True.
Honestly, maybe they were written by ChatGPT on this album. That explains a lot.
Yeah,
It'll explain their artlessness.
yeah. It's just that this does definitely feel like it does this.
We can't stop dunking on this album.
It's like
It's so much
Yeah.
fun.
It's very fun.
This is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
It's like
sure.
a Rocky Horror Picture Show of music.
I feel like
Exactly.
I feel like this is what OK Computer was foreshadowing, like this album specifically. Like when
I get, yeah.
What does Thomas York know?
Mr. York, you think computers are gonna make us not okay? Well, look at the state of music today. Are you telling me that Ronnie Radke is not a normal person? How dare you? Social media did nothing but good things to that man's personality and mental well-being.
oh, true. Social media is just.
Yeah.
Speaking
I
of-
love social media. It's not destroying our world.
It's not driving me insane at all.
Thank God Twitter is like dead and I'm not using it anymore.
No, I use it too much, but it is also just like you can get news there despite Elon's best efforts.
Yeah, I never used. I
There
used
is
Twitter a
news.
total of 2 times, and that was for commissions. Yeah. Speaking of Tom York, he apparently has a new album out with Mark Pritchard. Came out today. So I'll probably be listening to that soon.
Right after this. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, actually, after this, I'm going to be playing more 100 Line, but yeah,
Yeah, after
Same.
this I might eat dinner and play Overwatch.
nice. So, but
Our lives are like video games after all.
so that
Or-
it all that at the end of the day, no matter how hard we try, it all comes back to Ronnie Radke.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
we live in a Ronnie Radke society.
So, do any of us have any personal projects that we want to promote before we announce the theme of the next episode?
Not
upcoming?
really. Like, my next video is probably not coming out till like July or August, so I'm not going to promote it yet.
All right.
I'm nothing to promote right now, but maybe soon. I'm hoping to start posting stand-up clips to my Instagram
Ooh.
at some point, so that'll be fun.
Hell yeah. And I want to say in about hopefully a week or two, I should have my video on why Wall Socket by Underscores is my favorite album of all time and how it helped me
I'm
discover
looking
that I'm
forward to
trans.
that one.
Underscores. Underscores.
Yes.
Underscores. I'm psyched.
The moral
I'm
is
absolutely
Hello.
looking forward to that one.
I love Wall Socket. I mean, not as much as you, obviously, but I do love me some Wall Socket. That kicked ass.
Yeah, it did. So now that we got that out of the way, would you like to unveil to our lovely audience the next theme?
And me.
And Crow, yes.
Yes. So the thing, and I guess I wish we discussed it a little more in detail. I think it's a good theme, and it's probably my turn or whatever. But so we are going to be looking at white dilettantes of the early '90s. We're going to be discussing Vanilla Ice's debut album, Do the Extreme, and reggae singer Snow's debut album, 12 Inches of Snow.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
certainly a theme.
Alright.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
One of my ex-girlfriends gave me a copy of Do the Extreme, and her parents were like, "No, honestly, it's really good. I swear, it is." And they actually like had taste, so it was like really weird.
Huh.
But I guess if you have taste, you're allowed to have like a couple like shit opinions.
I mean,
know.
I'm the Lulu defender.
I mean,
That's a good opinion.
That is a good opinion.
Fair enough.
You know, I still listen to a couple Hobo Johnson songs. I think that's a very bad opinion, but I have it.
Maybe we
The
should-
room gets silent.
I don't know enough Hobo Johnson to comment.
Yeah,
I don't either.
I mean, he's he's got a couple songs I like, but I don't know, he just kind of sucks.
That's what I've heard about.
But also he's got some good songs. But he does suck. But he's got some of the songs are good.
That happens. It's unfortunate when that happens, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so my name is Mageclick.
Right. My name is
I'm
Foxx
Pro.
Navarro. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You go.
All right. No, you're fine.
My name is Foxx Navarro.
And I'm Crow, and I won't be here next time.
But I will. I will be here to haunt your dreams.
And so will I, but Crow will be here in spirit.
I'll be
Yes.
watching. I'm always watching. We're always watching.
From the perch on the top of the tree outside my house.
Yes.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Take care.